This last Saturday afternoon, it happened, guys. Dan Lanning and the Oregon Ducks got their guy for 2024. Quarterback Dillon Gabriel is on his way to Oregon. Let's talk about it. I'm your host, Dominiqk Peterson. This is the DuckZone503 Podcast, where we talk all things Oregon football. Let's get into it, people.
Welcome to the DuckZone503 Podcast, talking all things Oregon football, with your host, Dominiqk Peterson. Let's go.
Welcome into today's edition of the DuckZone503 Podcast. The date is Sunday, December 10th, 2023, and I am happy to be with you people. Good morning. Good morning. We got some exciting, very exciting news to get into. The college football world was talking about Oregon left and right. For one, everybody's talking about Dillon Gabriel, former Oklahoma quarterback star, coming to Oregon, is going to be our quarterback for 1 year. It's a one-and-done type deal. But that's not all. We're also hearing rumors about Dante Moore, former five-star quarterback that was once committed to the Ducks that transferred to UCLA to go play for Chip Kelly and go for playtime once your Bo Nix is coming back. Well, we're hearing rumors that he might be on campus next as another transfer quarterback. So could the Ducks get two transfer quarterbacks? I'll give you my thoughts and my take on that. Ty Thompson entered the transfer portal. We've seen this coming. The writing was on the wall once the Ducks started to head for their third transfer quarterback after Anthony Brown, Bo Nix. Now here comes in Dillon Gabriel. The writing's on the wall for Ty Thompson, so I'll give you my thoughts about that. And then Bo Nix, man, finishing third in the Heisman. Should he have been third? I'll give you my thoughts on that in this podcast as well. Hopefully you guys are subscribed to this podcast. If you're not already, go hit that subscribe button. Hit that like button down below. If you're listening on Spotify, if you're a Spotify listener, please rate this podcast 5 stars. Really helps out to grow this podcast and keep it free for you guys. Recruit interviews. Okay, we're getting near signing day. This is right around the time, January, February, March, going into April a little bit too. I really like to get as many Oregon recruits that have signed that dotted line onto this channel, talk about where they're from, who they are, introduce them to you guys so we know who we're getting for this next season. And if you're not locked in already, at DuckZone503, Instagram, Twitter, TikTok, Facebook, all platforms. You really can go follow us wherever you're at DuckZone503 to get the quickest updates on all things Oregon football. You won't get them quicker anywhere else. At DuckZone503, we're growing tremendously on our social medias. Thank you, everybody, legit, everybody who subscribes, who tunes in daily, who locks in with us, because as you know, I'm not backed by any major media corporation. I'm not with 247 Sports. I'm not with Rivals. I'm not with On3 Sports. I'm not with ESPN. I'm just a fan, and this fan is a fan-based podcast for you, the fan, and we keep it real over here. We're talking all things Big Ten ball as the Oregon Ducks are headed to Big Ten along with UCLA, USC, and Washington. So it's going to be big. It's going to be fun heading into 2024, and the Ducks officially got their guy, Dillon Gabriel. Now, Dillon Gabriel, he had a career year with Oklahoma in 2023. He completed 69.3% of his passes for 3,660 yards with 30 touchdowns and only 6 interceptions. He also rushed for 373 yards and 12 scores, crossing the end zone with his feet twice as many times as he did in the prior season in the 2022 campaign with the Sooners. So look, man, Gabriel has a load of experience coming in with a bunch of veteran experience. If that's one thing they can really point to, like what's the best thing in this situation for the Ducks, is they're getting a quarterback who has played tons of college football, has tons of experience behind him, like we've seen with Bo Nix. You know, one of the most experienced college football players this season. How did that benefit Bo Nix? How is he one of the best players in the country? Is because he's seen the defenses. He's been in scenarios. He's been in those pressure situations. He's been in the biggest college football stadiums. So by the time he's here at Oregon, he's diagnosing everything. He's already been there. He's done that. And there's nothing in his face that's new to him. There's nothing in his face that gets him rattled. He's there, and he's a leader. For one, he's a leader that can take a young group. Okay, this Oregon team is going to lose a lot of veteran leaders that they've had from the past season, especially on offense. And to bring a guy in like Dillon Gabriel, who, if you're a young guy just coming into college football and you're needed to play, or you have a big role, this is your first year playing. Well, to have a guy like Dillon Gabriel, who has 5 years. Okay, he started 3 years at UCF. And then he goes on to play at Oklahoma for 2 years. And you got to remember, because of COVID in 2020, okay, all athletes in college football were granted an extra year. So he's using that extra COVID year to come to Oregon. Now, one big thing and why I think he came to Oregon is because this guy was born in Hawaii. Okay, he's from Hawaii. That's his homeland over there. So born and raised there. He watches Oregon football as a kid growing up. Of course, we knew Marcus Mariota won the Heisman in 2014. And he looks up to Marcus Mariota. Matter of fact, on his Twitter, if you guys go look at Dillon Gabriel's Twitter, when he put out the graphic saying he's coming to Oregon, he literally said Mariota approved. And this is another cool thing. What number does Dillon Gabriel wear? He wore number 8 at Oklahoma. What number did Marcus Mariota wear here at Oregon? Number 8. So I think I have a great feeling he's going to wear number 8. I think he hit up Marcus Mariota, or maybe vice versa. Who knows, before he was able to commit. And I think he's going to get granted that number 8 number coming to Oregon. He was on campus this last Saturday. He left Sunday. He was on campus on Friday. On Friday, I guess he left Saturday evening, and during while he was leaving, that's when he made it official that he is coming to Oregon. We heard rumblings all week. I made a podcast prior to this saying, watch out for Dillon Gabriel, watch out for these certain quarterbacks. We heard rumblings about Cam Ward, Dante Moore. We even heard DJ Uiagalelei. Now it's kind of coming down. We got Dillon Gabriel in the bag, and we're going to talk about Dante Moore later in the podcast here. But could Oregon take 2 quarterbacks? It's looking like it. Dillon Gabriel, as I mentioned, he started his career at UCF before transferring to Oklahoma ahead of the 2022 season. He's rated as the number 30th overall transfer in 247 Sports transfer rankings and has 1 year of eligibility remaining. He's passed for more than 14,000 yards in his NCAA career between stops with the Knights and the Sooners. Gabriel has posted 3,000-yard passing seasons 4 times in his career, including both his years at Oklahoma. Over the course of his career, Gabriel has 14,865 yards passing, 125 touchdowns to 26 interceptions, a 63.1% completion rating, and 1,000 rushing yards and 26 rushing touchdowns. So, look, guys, this is somebody who has veteran experience. I've already mentioned that, who is just consistent, okay? Never has an up and down game, very consistent. You see that with the 63% career percentage. Now, you look at that as an Oregon fan, and you look at Bo Nix's close to 78%. I think he finished around 77.8% completion rating this year, which is historic. That's historic. That's amazing. Look, and this is to say, Bo Nix is up here with Marcus Mariota and Joey Harrington, arguably like top 3 seasons as a quarterback at Oregon football. These are the type of guys that come around literally once every 10 years. Like Joey Harrington, you can go back to Keely Smith in the 90s, okay? That player was great. Not many people talk about him anymore, but that was a great player in the 90s, Keely Smith at quarterback. Then you go to Joey Harrington, that had a great Heisman-type season. Then you had Marcus Mariota that had that Heisman-type season, right? And he won it. And then Bo Nix finished 3rd, Heisman-type season, and now it's 2023. I mean, that's 2013, 2014, 2002, 2003, mid-90s, right? These are players that literally come around once every 7, maybe 10 years. And, and not to say that every quarterback that almost Oregon has had over the last 30 years has been special, because they have, but these type of seasons where Bo Nix, what do you have, like 4.1 thousand yards passing? He had over 40 touchdowns passing, only 3 interceptions, and only one of those interceptions were really his fault. I mean, those are just seasons we really just don't see. I mean, those are Heisman level of performance. So I don't think Dillon Gabriel is going to come in and just have an unbelievable performance and break records. I think he had the same I said this in my preview when we heard rumblings. I think he's had the same type of talent around him. I think we've seen who he is. I think the strengths about him is he's a veteran. He's a leader. He doesn't make many mistakes. He doesn't turn over the ball. He can throw that ball deep. He's a left-handed quarterback, which is beautiful when he throws the ball. I mean, we all seen Michael Penix, right? I don't like the Huskies, but you got to admit the way Michael Penix threw that ball is a thing of beauty. And and you've seen left-handed quarterbacks have success before, and it's a unique thing. And for him, he's had 3,000 yard passing yards 4 times in his career out of five seasons, right? And he's just consistent. He's not going to let you down. That's one thing we knew about Bo Nix, game in and game out. He gave you consistency. You knew what you were going to get from him. And I think he's an overall good quarterback. Now, if you were to compare Bo Nix to Dillon Gabriel, one thing I think he lacks is, size. I think overall, Dillon Gabriel's a little bit smaller, 5'11", around 205 pounds, which is a good size for quarterback. It's decent, around 205. 5'11 is a little on the shorter end, but we've seen smaller quarterbacks at Oregon before have plenty of success. And then compared to Bo Nix, he's 6'2", right? So Bo Nix is just a little bigger. If pro scouts are looking at that, right? When scouts are looking at certain quarterbacks, they're really looking at things like that, intangible size. That's why people just salivated over Justin Herbert, because this is a dude with a cannon of an arm, 6'5", huge, big quarterback, can throw it, make any throw on the field, right? That's why people were salivating over him. It's just he didn't have the system that he had at Oregon with Mario Cristobal, of course. Mario Cristobal and Marcus Arroyo running some totally different offenses with Justin Herbert. I wish we had him when we had Dan Lanning and stuff, but that's a total different conversation. But yeah, man, and this is another thing. Speaking about systems and fitting, Dillon Gabriel fits right in with what Oregon's trying to do, because UCF, Oklahoma, these offenses are pro-style offenses that kind of run just like Oregon, quick, get the ball out quick, get it to your playmakers, get them out in space, and be precise with the football, make accurate passes, go deep when you need to, right? And that's what Oregon does. They do like to pass the ball a lot more than they have in the last few years. So coming in here with already pro-style type offenses, he's going to fit right in and be this plug-and-play quarterback 1 year, give it all you got. And for him to come closer to home, play closer to his place. And fun fact, guys, where does Oregon open their season for 2024? They're going to go play at Hawaii, August 24th. That's where they go play. So he's going to go play it where he's from. I guarantee you he's going to have lots of family out there. And, and this is another way to build that Polynesian connection. This is a time for recruiting, right? This is right before signing day, the bowl season. This is where we're trying to wrap up that 2024 class and get on to that 2025 class, get that thing started, right? And Hawaii and the Polynesian culture, going back to Mariota, Haluga Nata, these are players who have came from those areas and just been special, absolutely special. And that Polynesian Ohana, that love, the Ohana jersey just a few years back with the University of Oregon and this football team and those players has been real strong. And to keep that going here with Dillon Gabriel is going to be even better for the next 5-10 years, right? If he has a very successful season here. So I think he's a really great quarterback. I think he's accurate with the football. I think what he does lack is, a cannon of an arm. Sometimes he can underthrow, maybe overthrow his receivers going deep. There's a lot of highlights of him hitting his wide receivers deep, but if you really break down the film, there are times where he's up and down, going down the field, because smaller quarterbacks, man, it's harder to, especially when you're trying to run. I wouldn't say he's like Bo when he runs. He can run the football, he can use his feet and be a little dangerous, but he's not the type where he's going to break it off for 70 yards for a touchdown. He's not the type who's going to be looking to run. He's more of a passer, more pass first quarterback. So this guy is a slice and dicer though. This guy is very accurate with the football, 63%. With the football, he can get it down the field. He can make almost any throw on the field. He's a leader on the field. This guy has played, in the Big 12, in the biggest football games. He beat Texas. He was a big reason for Oklahoma's success. Now you might ask, well, why is Dillon Gabriel transferring if you're talking all this hype about him? Well, look, here's the thing: is Oklahoma, they're a good team. I think they had a pretty successful season, but they still had 2 losses. And to Oklahoma fans, this is one of these blue blood schools. To Oklahoma fans, if you don't make the playoff, man, you're out of here, man. And those type of regions, it's tough to play, because those are schools that have had success early, have a lot of history. And if you don't play to your certain standard, you're one and done. Now, not to say Oklahoma fans are saying this guy's trash and you want him out. No, when he left, it was all love from Oklahoma fans. That's something I was really surprised of, because when Caleb Williams left to USC, you seen how much hate he was getting, man, and slander he was getting. And that was a whole different story and different scenario with Lincoln Riley grabbing him. And I'm sure that hurt, but and they got a guy in Jackson Arnold who looks more than ready to play some football. But man, let me tell you, Dillon Gabriel is just another guy, a left-handed bow, man, another leader who can lead this team, who's consistent, who doesn't make many mistakes, and can just overall as a game manager, man, and is going to be good for this football team. And you look in the Big Ten, right? You look at the other quarterbacks as we enter the Big Ten. Who's better? Who has the best quarterback in the conference? You got to ask at this moment in time. Now, look, a lot of things are going to change. A lot of things are going to change around the Big Ten. But who has the better quarterback as we look at? Who has the best quarterback in the conference right now? I got to argue here. It might be Oregon. Look at Dillon Gabriel at Oregon. Michael Penix is gone at Washington. Who are they going to get? That's a whole nother story they got to figure out. JJ McCarthy, is he staying? Is he leaving? Who does Michigan got behind him? Ohio State, Kyle McCord, he's gone, right? I mean, you can maybe make a case for that Penn State quarterback. I think his name's Drew Allen or something, Drew Aller. But man, I think Oregon just secured the best quarterback in the Big Ten, arguably at this moment in time. Now, look, a lot can change, but getting Dillon Gabriel this early in the process not only establishes your quarterback position, but now it just gives you a whole load of momentum for the transfer portal. Okay, we just seen number 1 defensive lineman and number 1 overall recruit in the transfer portal. What's the dude's name, man? Nolan from Texas A&M. I think his name was Chance Nolan. Walter Nolan from Texas A&M. So that's the whole nother thing that can get this thing going. Dillon Gabriel coming to your Oregon program not only solidifies the quarterback position, but now when you see guys like the number 1 defensive lineman, number 1 overall recruit, Walter Nolan in the transfer portal, coming to Oregon on a visit in the same weekend, you get guys like the number 1 transfer portal safety, Andrew Makuba from Clemson, coming in on the same weekend as Dillon Gabriel. And now you just solidified the quarterback position, one of the most important position in all of sports. Let's not just talk about football, in all of sports, the quarterback position. And you solidified that for this year. And you had not only the number 1 defensive lineman, but the number 1 safety along with that on the defensive side of the football on the same. I mean, this can make for great things. And if you're Dillon Gabriel, you're looking at what Bo Nix just did, right? What Bo Nix came in a little undervalued, a little underappreciated, and he just had a Heisman type season. Who would have seen Bo Nix go for 4,000 plus yards, 40 plus touchdowns, only 3 interceptions 3-4 years ago? You would have called me and said you would have wanted to put me into the mental house. And now Bo Nix is out here in New York City. So he didn't win the trophy. I get it, and we'll talk about it, but he's still out there. He's still getting all the publicity, getting his name out there, and he's going to be in the NFL draft, man. Arguably going to be a first-round pick. So if you're Dillon Gabriel, you're looking at that and being like, let's go, man. And I'm closer to home, closer than I've ever been to home. On a team where I can win a championship, because remember, the playoff goes to 12 teams next year. Let's not forget. So I am excited for this one. Dillon Gabriel, you are a Duck, and the Ducks are not done there. They're not done there, as Dante Moore, there's a report from Chad Simons of On3 Sports that transfer quarterback Dante Moore is eyeing a potential visit to Oregon next week. So it hasn't happened yet, but there's reports out there he's eyeing a potential visit. Former 5-star plus quarterback is currently the number 4 ranked transfer portal player so far in the cycle, according to the On3 industry transfer rankings. He appeared in 9 games as a freshman at UCLA, completing 53.5% of his passes for 1,610 yards and 11 touchdowns. So, look, here's the sentiment is a lot of people are looking at those numbers and looking at what he did and just being like, he's not a good quarterback. We don't need him. And to that, you're right. We don't need him. But here's the thing is Dillon Gabriel's a one-and-done quarterback. Once he's done after 2024, he's gone. And then Oregon, what do? You're going to need another portal quarterback. And I'm going to be honest with you. If you're a prep recruit, if you're an elite prep recruit, and you're looking at what programs are going to develop me into a special quarterback, you just looked at what happened with Ty Thompson, a 5-star quarterback. And look, I'm not blaming the coaches when I'm saying this. I'm not saying this is the coach's fault, because look, if Ty Thompson was the guy, he would have played. He went through Mario Cristobal's coaching staff. He went through Dan Lanning's coaching staff. He would have played. I'm going to get into that. I'm going to talk about that a little more. But look, if I'm a prep recruit, a 5-star, I'm coming in and I'm looking at what programs are going to develop me the best. Oregon just let a 5-star walk who just sat the bench for 3 years, who what you don't see a lot in college football is somebody who was loyal to the program and waited. And each and every year they went with a transfer quarterback. Now, I don't know what the behind the scenes are. But look, if Ty was told, like, hey, man, you have an opportunity to stick it through, and then this is what happened, that's pretty dirty. It's pretty dirty. But look, man, Dante Moore coming in, this is what I think the pitch is. This is what I think the pitch is. If he's interested in Oregon, it's because he originally was committed here. This is where he probably wanted to be originally. And then he thought the hype can get to these kids sometimes. He probably thought being a 5-star, be an elite quarterback, that he could do it, that he could start day one and come in and put up big numbers. He had Chip Kelly as the offensive coordinator. He thought he could do it. And all power to him. Maybe a lot of people did. But I'm more of the believer on this podcast is you got to take some time, especially at the quarterback position. You got to take some time behind a guy that's already done it. You got and it would have been so beneficial for Dante Moore to come here to Oregon, sit behind Bo Nix for a year, and then be the guy this year. And we don't see that in college football a lot. We just don't. But how awesome would it be to get a 5-star plus quarterback that knows, hey, this is the year where I'm going to learn behind Dillon Gabriel. I tried my thing last year. Now I see what you're talking about. Now I see what everybody was saying when they were saying maybe I should wait a year. Maybe I should go to Oregon, not decommit and try to go start and be my own star. Let's learn. Sometimes that's what you need, and especially at the quarterback position. And if Dante Moore is able to come to Oregon and get an understanding of, hey, this is a year where you might sit out. If Dillon Gabriel has any injuries, which he's had some injuries in his past, by the way, you're the guy. You're the second guy. Or maybe Austin Novosad is that guy. They might have to compete for it. But all I know is if Dante Moore is able to sit back behind a guy like Dillon Gabriel, a guy with that much experience, a guy with that kind of veteran leadership, and learn under his wing, we can have Dante Moore for 2 more years, not only for 2025, but for 2026. And now that sets you up, if you're Dan Lanning, for quarterback for this year, for next year, and quarterback for the future. So you don't have to worry about that. You can point to your leader. When you go out and recruit, you can be like, hey, we got our guy. We got our leader. We got one of the best quarterbacks in the nation. Not only for this year, but for the next 2 years as well, if we're able to land Dante Moore. Now I get it. You look at those numbers, 53%, only around it's 1,600 yards. The touchdown to turnover ratio is nothing compared to Bo Nix. And look, he got thrown in the fire. Not only did he not have as much talent as Bo Nix did have around him, but his coaching staff, in my opinion, was not even close as the coaching staff here at Oregon as developing him. And I just think here at Oregon, you have an opportunity where you can sit behind somebody and learn. Now, if Dante Moore is looking to play, well, Dillon Gabriel just committed. So I don't know why he would plan a visit. But if you're Dante Moore, you've got to know, like, you've seen the reports, you heard some rumblings. And coaches ain't dumb. They're going to tell him, hey, man, we're going to take 2 of you guys. And this is what it is. We want to develop you. It was rough for Dante Moore towards the end of the year for a reason. It's because it's not easy being a freshman. Look, you'll be a 5-star. You can get off against high school kids all you want. But college level is a whole different game, man. Whole different game. So we could possibly be seeing Dillon Gabriel and Dante Moore committing to the Ducks for 2024. And what does that say to Austin Novosad? We've already seen Ty Thompson go out. Austin Novosad was a true freshman last year, came in from Dripping Springs, 4-star quarterback, who came in after Dante Moore decommitted and went to UCLA. Baylor really wanted Austin Novosad. That was like their Dante Moore. That was their number one guy. And we were able to snag him last second, probably promising a role after Bo Nix is gone. And if we're going to take 2 transfer quarterbacks, I think that says the writing's on. I mean, this is the thing as a fan, man. We ain't at practice. We can speculate. We can see numbers, what they did in high school. But when they're in practice and they're going against Division I college talent, the coaches see what's happening. There's a reason why Ty Thompson's ain't playing. There's a reason why we're taking 2 transfer quarterbacks. I'm going to give my opinion in a second, but I got to give you the ad read, which is brought to you by Mojo Fantasy today, guys. I absolutely love it. No lie, guys. Mojo Fantasy is absolutely awesome. It's a crazy new app that turns sportsbook odds and selections into fantasy contests. Here's how it works, guys. There are thousands of NFL and here, let me bring it up for you guys. Sorry about that. There are thousands of NFL and MLB player props. You build a portfolio, and the better your portfolio performs, the more cash you win. Pick as many props as you want. Try to beat the crowd. It's a whole new way to play fantasy. The props act like stocks, so you can buy and sell live all game long. It's the only fantasy app that lets you make moves after the game starts. So you're not stuck with a bad pick. You can cash in on a hot start or just hang on and let them ride. Cash contests are based on real sportsbook odds. Get the same live player prop selection and odds and cash outs as Mojo New Jersey Sportsbook. You can trade sports just like stocks, guys. You control the action. Ride your picks, cash out, or enter new positions instantly. And there's no house advantage, guys. Beat the crowd by building a biggest portfolio to climb the leaderboard and win cash prizes. That's it. Make picks, make moves, make money. Download now on the Apple App Store and use my code DuckZone for a 100% deposit match up for $100 for your first time deposit. Link in the description below. All right, guys. Man, Mojo Fantasy, I've been having so much fun on that app, getting loads of money. But hey, man, gamble responsibly. That's number one. Within your means. I always say that when I read this ad is be careful, because that Mojo app is addicting. I've been on there. If you know ball, that's the thing, is if you know ball, you think you know a lot more than others. You got more education, more information on sports, and there's a lot of dummies in there. It's not against the house, it's against other people, so it's a leaderboard thing. So if you win some money. Anyways, let's continue on. Let's talk about Ty Thompson, because Ty Thompson eventually entered the transfer portal after the news broke. He sent a cryptic post out shortly after Dillon Gabriel announced. It was him exiting the practice facility one last time with helmets behind him, hanging up his helmet. And it's sad. I get it, man. And it's heartbreaking because, you've seen the loyalty, you've seen it last season when he was being questioned about, hey, man, are you going to transfer? Dominiqk's coming back. I felt that's the time for Ty to go. Because, look, Bo is going to be gone, and he probably felt that he had a chance. But look, man, you've seen Anthony Brown, a transfer at that time. And look, Ty was just a little bit younger, didn't really have a chance against him. And then Bo came in, and Bo, you see what he became. Heisman type, right? That's hard to compete with. He may have had a chance to beat out Anthony Brown back then, but look, Anthony Brown was just a more veteran player, more experienced player. And Ty now has been here for 3 seasons, and, and over the course of 17 games, he really hasn't broken through as a full-time starter yet. Overall, he's 42 of 66 passing in his career, 63%, which is not bad. 456 yards passing, and this is where it's questionable. 6 touchdowns and 4 interceptions. This is because there's times where he got on the field and it looked great, right? And a lot of those, I got to be honest though, a lot of those times where he looked great were it's against lower competition, and that's because when you're blowing out teams, that's when you're able to get in. But when he went against higher competition, like Washington, it seemed like the coaches didn't trust him able to make a play. And certain times he kind of forced throws in there that got intercepted. So maybe that's a course of, he just didn't play consistently. Getting thrown in there every so often doesn't help to have a consistent game. But this is a kid that can play. Came in as a 5-star. He was literally the highest rated quarterback to ever sign at Oregon. So this is a kid that had a lot of expectation, a lot of hype coming in. And there's a reason why the Oregon fan base wanted to see what he can do. But this is going back to what I was saying a little bit earlier, is look, we're fans, man. We can only read. We can only see high school tape. We're not seeing what they're doing against Division I college athletes. We're not seeing how they break down the playbook. We're not seeing behind the scenes in practice how they're performing. Only the coaches are. And look, with Ty Thompson in this case, man, you had Mario Cristobal's coaching staff pass up on you, and now you had Dan Lanning coach pass up on you, and they've known Bo Nix is going to leave after this season. And boom, right after the season ends, you start hearing news about Oregon going after transfer quarterbacks. And now you're hearing them going after 2 with Dante Moore. So at the end of the day, man, the writing is on the wall. As fans, you hate to do it. And this is not the coaches saying, hating Ty Thompson, say, nah, you suck, Ty, get out of here. That's not the case, man. There's a lot of love in this. There's a lot of respect in this. But here's the deal, man. Dan Lanning has paid millions of dollars to win football games and bring the best of the best to the University of Oregon. That is what he's paid to do. So it's nothing personal. When he's using the transfer portal, when he's opening up spots, when you're seeing guys leave that didn't match the system, didn't get a lot of play time, was not a valuable asset to the team as far as on the field. Now, to the team as far as being a human being, being a person, being a comrade, building brotherly love, that is perfectly fine. That's what Ty Thompson was. He was loyal to the program. He stayed here for all 3 years on the bench, man, behind 3 different quarterbacks, wanting to be the guy here at Oregon. And that's why fans feel a certain type of way, and I feel you. But at the end of the day, college football, and I hate to say it, is slowly becoming a business. The days of sitting on the bench and developing a quarterback are over. The days of recruiting a guy from high school and developing him as a prospect, planning 4 years ahead are over, man. Like, this is the new age of college football. The transfer portal has shooken up the game. And if you're a coach, why would you take a chance on something unproven when the transfer portal is right there full of proven guys, full of guys who have tape against Division I opponents, full of guys of what their weaknesses are when they go out on that field. You know what their strengths are when they go out on that field. Someone then who just came from high school or has not even played one snap of college ball yet, and you've been questioning him your 2 years you've been here. If you're Dan Lanning, you've been questioning Ty Thompson. Is he the guy? I don't know. And if you're going after 2 transfer quarterbacks, I think that's the writing on the wall. So, look, man, Ty Thompson, he was the number 1 overall prospect in the state of Arizona, number 6 quarterback in the class, number 31 overall prospect in the class. Look, overall, think about this too. Transfer portal, talking about shaking things up. Ty Thompson, a top 40 recruit nationally. Dillon Gabriel was the 754th ranked player as a recruit, and it was an upgrade in talent. I mean, that's what I'm talking about. Prep recruiting, I'm going to continue to say it's a lot in college football. It's half the battle. You need to recruit at a top 10 level. If you're finishing behind out of the top 10, you're not going to be, you're not going to be in that college football playoff. You're not going to be in that conversation because you got to have guys. You got to have depth and you got to develop. That's part of the game. But the transfer portal, you just seen it with Washington, man. If they weren't able to get Michael Penix, even with Oregon, if we weren't able to go get Bo Nix out of the transfer portal and bring him here, we would probably have a different conversation. And it sucks for Ty Thompson because, again, if this was 10 years ago, a decade ago, he would probably be starting right now. He'd probably be the guy. But like I said, man, those days are over. The days of developing a quarterback, bringing him up through the ranks, and one day becoming your starter, it feels like that's phasing out. It feels like, especially at a position, a quarterback, where you want experience, you want veteran leadership, you're going to get guys that are here for 1, maybe 2 years at most, and you squeeze as much as you can out of them, right? And as a coach, that's what you're brought here to do. And I have no issue with Dan Lanning and his coaching staff going out and getting as much talent as they can, whether that's through recruiting or through the transfer portal. Because at the end of the day, you're here to win football games. Because if you don't win football games, you're jobless. So that's just the case. And then you kind of think about Austin Novosad, right? This is somebody who we really have not seen. We've seen him in the spring game momentarily, but we literally have not seen him. So I don't know how good he is, how bad he is, what his pros are. I know he's pretty tall. I know he's pretty lengthy. I know he needed to add some weight to his frame, some muscle. So it's going to be interesting through this next offseason how he builds to that, how he looks. I've heard he has a big cannon of an arm, can get that ball down the field, has a relationship to Will Stein. But it's going to be interesting if they take in Dante Moore as well. How does that take on Austin Novosad's mood? Like, is he thinking, dude, this is the guy that you brought me in for? Now you're bringing him back in. And if Dante Moore, after fall camp, is QB2, you might be seeing Austin Novosad leave. And then Dante Moore is going to slide in, like I said, if they're planning on this, to be that QB1 for the next 2 years. Or maybe Austin Novosad eventually beats out Dante Moore and Dante Moore's out again. Wouldn't that be funny? But it's going to be interesting how it works out, although I do believe they got their guy, Dillon Gabriel, one of the better quarterbacks in the portal. Personally, I wanted Cam Ward. I said that in my last video. I would have loved to have Cam Ward here. I just think that this is the difference between Cam Ward and Gabriel. For one, Gabriel's kind of smaller. He's 5'11". I think Ward is looked at by the pros a little better. I get that there's this conversation that Ward makes bad throws and he turns over the ball. Ward only had one more interception. He had 7 interceptions last year. Dillon Gabriel only had 6. These are two quarterbacks that, to be honest, really don't turn over the ball. I think we just heard about maybe Cam Ward's turnovers a little more because he plays over here on the West Coast as a Duck fan. But to be honest with you, the QBR, it's no argument that Dillon Gabriel is the more consistent quarterback from game to game. Dillon Gabriel is top 5 in QBR, while Cam Ward is in the 50s. So Dillon Gabriel, if you want to argue for him, is definitely a more consistent quarterback. But here's the argument for me, anyways, from me, is that Cam Ward has played at Incarnate Ward and put up 47 touchdowns and like 4,600 yards, and get it, it's Division II football. But still, to do that is insane. And then he goes to Washington State in 2 seasons, 4,600 yards every season, has a great year. And now he's looking to go to like a big time program. A Texas, an Ohio State, a Michigan, a Florida State, Oregon's in the conversation, USC. These are all teams in the conversation for him. And you look at the talent around him, especially the offensive line. You look at the offensive line at Washington State compared to the team he's about to go to, whether it be Ohio State, whether it be Florida State, whether it be USC, maybe Washington gets him. He's going to have a way step higher of level of talent around him. And I think him as a player, I think he's a really talented player, a superstar, a player that could be a Heisman if he has the right coaching around him, the right players, the right O-line to block for him. Because I don't think that's any time in Cam Ward's career has he had a line that legit blocks for him really well. That's why I want Cam Ward at Oregon, because you've seen what Oregon has done for quarterbacks, what Bo Nix had as an O-line, what Bo Nix had as an O-line here at Oregon the last 2 years. 2 of the best offensive line, arguably in Oregon history. I mean, Jackson Powers Johnson, that's another thing, guys, we could talk about that happened. He won the Remington Trophy. Guys, yeah, Jackson Powers Johnson, the center for Oregon, man. And congrats to him, man, because this is another guy that just loves Oregon football. A guy, and his dad is constantly in the comments, always there supporting him, man, and loves everything about the university. But yeah, 2023 Remington Trophy, man. Jackson Powers Johnson. The Remington Trophy, for those who don't know, is an annual award given to the best center in college football. It's named after Dave Remington, a former Nebraska Cornhusker player. The trophy is awarded based on the player's performance, leadership, and overall excellence on the field. It's a prestigious honor for centers who excel in their position. And, he was a leader of this offense. One of the sole reasons why Oregon had one of the better offensive line was Jackson Powers Johnson. And I think he's headed to the NFL. And going back to Cam Ward on why I think he would be such a good fit is because we had such good offensive lines here. Now, a lot of those guys on this year's offensive line are going to be leaving. I know our tackles are coming back. That's a big part of this. I'm pretty sure Johnny Cornelius, we're going to have to wait and see. Hasn't officially said anything yet, but I have a good feeling that he will be coming back. And then Josh Conley has to come back because he's only in his second year as a sophomore this year, so he'll be coming back. So our 2 starting tackles will be back. Poncho has been, Iapani Laulu has been awesome at that center position, backing up Jackson Powers Johnson. So I think he'll be able to slide in right there. But overall, man, Dillon Gabriel is coming into a great position. And as much as I would have loved to have Cam Ward, I don't mind having Dillon Gabriel at all. It's asking me, like, do I want pancakes or do I want waffles? I love waffles a lot, but I would not mind pancakes. And in this case, Dillon Gabriel's my pancakes. Yes, I would have loved to have my Cam Ward waffles, but I'm getting my Dillon Ward pancakes over here, and that's perfectly fine because both taste absolutely amazing, and both are going to work out perfectly fine. So Dillon Ward's your QB1 going into 2024 if you're Oregon, and that's absolutely great. I feel bad for Ty, but I'm going to be cheering for him. Hashtag once a duck, always a duck. I think he's going to be great. This is a guy that can play. Lookout spots for Ty, where I think he might go. I think he's going to want to stay on the West Coast. I think Arizona State is the strongest suited place for him. Kenny Dillingham and that program trying to rebuild. There's a past connection here. Obviously, Kenny Dillingham was his offensive coordinator. If Kenny Dillingham likes Ty Thompson, which I think he does, he will. I think Ty is from, he's from Arizona. That's where he went to high school. He's from that area. Arizona State's in a good position conference-wise. I don't know the Jade Rashada situation over there, what they're looking at quarterback, but I think that would be a great fit for Ty to go play for Kenny Dillingham as they go to the Big 12 next year. If not that, you might see him go to a place like Oregon State, who just lost DJU, maybe Washington State, who just lost Cam Ward. Maybe BYU, right? Maybe a BYU, maybe UCLA. Maybe Chip Kelly wants to see what Ty Thompson's about. I don't know, but I do believe it will be on the West Coast. And if I had to put money on it, I would bet Arizona State is a great fit for him. And I would love to see him go there. Real quickly, other than that, what else do we got? We got Bo Nix finishing third in the Heisman tonight. So man, this was disappointing, although it's great. Like, I can't be disappointed because out of all the teams in college football, one of our guys are there to represent our team. So that was awesome. You had Michael Penix there, you had Jaden Daniels and Marvin Harrison Jr. along with Bo Nix, and then you had, obviously Jaden Daniels taking home the trophy. I posted pictures, guys, again, DuckZone503 on all our social medias if you want to go see those pictures of Bo Nix, go see videos of him talking, stuff like that. But Jaden Daniels ended up winning the Heisman Trophy. He had 503 first place votes. Michael Penix was second for 292 first place votes. Bo Nix had 51 first place votes. Marvin Harrison with 20 and Jordan Travis with 8. Jordan Travis was I don't think he was there, but he finished number 5. So yeah, Jaden Daniels took it home. And I honestly, look, I'm not mad at this. As much as I wanted Bo Nix and as much as I think it's deserved, I think every one of these players, Bo Nix, Jaden Daniels, Michael Penix, deserve the Heisman. Look, Bo Nix, I'm going to start with my guy, why I think he deserves the Heisman. He every single game, consistent, 300 plus yards, 4 or 5 plus touchdowns. It was like clockwork. As an Oregon fan, we're so spoiled with this quarterback play this season. Like, until we get another quarterback where you can totally see the reverse of what this is. Like, I felt this when we had Marcus Mariota as a quarterback, as an Oregon fan. It was like every game he was just dominating and putting up 400 yards, 300 yards, 200 on the ground. And it felt like every game this was just like what he was doing, what he's going to do. And it felt like Bo Nix towards the end of the season had all the momentum to win this thing until who's number 2, Michael Penix, beat him, and Michael Penix had the better game in that game statistically, and he won the game, beat Bo Nix twice. So Bo Nix ended up falling out of the conversation due to head-to-head game. But look, if you're talking about the most outstanding player in college football, and you're looking at players and game by game, the most consistent player in college football was easily Bo Nix, man. 4,000 yards passing, can do it on the ground, had 40 plus passing touchdowns, only 3 interceptions, and played a gauntlet in the Pac-12 and only lost to Michael Penix in Washington by a total of 6 points. It wasn't even like Michael Penix Washington destroyed him. It was total by 6 points in the first matchup. Bo Nix had the better game statistically. It just so happened on the last laugh, Michael Penix had the better game statistically and won the game. And that kind of led the conversation going away for Bo Nix for this trophy. But although I think if he would have won that game, he probably would have won it. Or if he would have sat at home and just ate nachos and watched others lose in their championship game like the winner did, and this is not to hate. Look, Jaden Daniels, absolutely phenomenal season. One of the best seasons all of college football history. It's just he had 3 losses. He didn't play in many big games. He didn't perform well in those many big games, but he did have the numbers, guys. Over 1,000 yards rushing, 4,000 yards passing, 5,000 total yards. The QBR, I think Bo Nix was second in QBR with a 94 or something like that. And Jay Daniels way up there, man. Way up there in QBR. So he did have a very proficient season. But in my opinion, if there had to be a winner, if I was a non-biased Heisman Trophy voter, I would have to give it to Michael Penix Jr. because his team is in the college football playoff and he had a season that was absolutely phenomenal. Now, was he like Bo Nix? This is where it's an argument. Each guy can kind of deserve it. But Bo Nix, every single game, he did not slack. He did not throw for, what was it against Oregon State? Under 200 yards passing, Michael Penix had. And I get it was really rainy that game. And then Arizona State, he struggled. Bo Nix didn't have a game like that. Against Arizona State, Bo Nix threw for 6 touchdowns in the first half. So every team can have a performance. But Jayden Daniels, if you're talking about stats, who had the best stats, Jayden Daniels definitely did. And here's the thing, guys. I don't know if a lot of people know, but most of the Heisman voters that do vote for this Heisman Trophy, a lot of them don't watch a lot of college football. They just look at stats. They look at the number. Who has the best stats? Which teams are in the college football playoffs? Sometimes that's how it works. Who has the best record in college football? Some people just vote like that. They don't actually watch these games. A lot of these, trust me, a lot of these Heisman voters should not even be qualified. But they are, sadly. And all they do is look at stats. And if that's what you're going to do, Jayden Daniels got the best stats. So he's the most outstanding player in college football. He won it. Michael Penix finished his second because he had the head-to-head. And Bo Nix finished his third. Which, hey, I'm not going to complain because it's been over a decade since we've had anybody even in the Heisman conversation. So for Bo Nix to get there off this special season adds to this special season. He won a plethora of awards as well. On top of that, Maxwell Award, Campbell Award, stuff like that. So it was an amazing season, guys. This is the 4th time where we had an 11-plus win season, and we're going to get a Fiesta Bowl. I get it's against Liberty, and we're going to have a preview and prediction here and about, after Christmas. I'm going to try to get that in after Christmas, a preview and prediction, and we're going to learn all about Liberty, learn who they are. So make sure you're locked in. You know what I mean? But it's going to be fun. We're going to get one more game with Bo Nix, okay? Bo Nix. It's been so special to have him on this team. As a football player, to see him on the field, do what he does and be a leader and lead his guys is so amazing. But what's more important than that is him as a person in the community of Eugene in Oregon and being a role model for the future players of Oregon, man, the future quarterbacks, to what it's like to be a player here at Oregon and just be, he's a husband at this young age, and he's everything I want to be. He's around my age. I'm 24. I want to be a young man. I want to, be a good role model. I want to be a motivator. I want to be a leader. I want to have a wife one day and have a great life, and hopefully I do get married one day to my beautiful girlfriend. But Bo Nix is everything, man. And I had an opportunity to take a picture with them, have a short conversation, and just say, have a great year, man. I'm glad you're our quarterback, and share some few kind words. And these are things I'll remember for the rest of my life. And these are things that us Oregon fans need to remember for the rest of our life. And, when the next quarterback comes in here, whether it's Dillon Gabriel, whoever it is, please don't compare them to Bo Nix or Marcus Mariota or Joey Harrington or any of these great quarterbacks, because literally, like I said earlier when I started this podcast, Bo Nix, Marcus Mariota, these type of quarterbacks and these type of seasons, they're only going to come around once in a decade. They're only going to come around. Maybe if we get lucky, we might have two in a decade. But that's how it's been. That's been the trend. And look, as much as I like Dillon Gabriel, good quarterback, veteran leader, game manager, can make all the throws, been battle tested. I like him, but he's not going to be Bo Nix. He's not going to be 4,000 yards, 40. He's not going to do that. Now, if he does, come back on here and call me crazy. But this is just a type of season that we need all take in and remember and tell our grandkids about it one day, man, because Bo Nix was special. Of course, it wasn't the season that we all wanted it to be. We all wanted that college football playoff. We all wanted a shot at the national title. We all thought this was a team that could win it all. And this was a year where it felt like any team can win it, man. 1 through 8. This would have been a great year to start the 12-team college football playoff. But it's not. And Oregon's outside the top 4. And we got to finish strong here because we're going to the Big Ten, a new conference. And we can't go out losing to Washington and then losing our bowl game to Liberty. What kind of momentum is that? So we got to finish strong here. And what a way to get some momentum going into signing day, right? We're talking about flipping players from other schools that Oregon has been on. We're going to be looking at that. We're looking at 4 or 5 stars that are coming down to the wire here that haven't announced yet, that have Oregon in their final list of schools. It's all going to come down here towards the end of December into January for signing day, early signing day, all that. We're going to be locked in here, giving all the updates on DuckZone503. So make sure you're locked in here. Like and subscribe to the podcast. If you're listening on Spotify, rate the Spotify 5 stars. I'm giving you guys weekly podcasts, all things Oregon football. Recruits, okay? Recruits. I'm trying to get them on here once they sign that dotted line, once they're officially Oregon Ducks. I'm trying to get them on here if they're willing to come on, tell their story, who they are, and what they're excited about to be a Duck. And I'm giving you all the latest updates on all our social medias, guys, at DuckZone503. If you are not following us, if you're not following us on there, I don't know what you guys are doing. You guys are getting news way late if you're not following at DuckZone503, because we give you guys the quickest Oregon football updates of all out of anybody. As always, guys, go Ducks. I'm your host, Dominiqk Peterson. This is the DuckZone503 Podcast, where we talk all things Oregon football. I'll see you in the next one.